Welcome to the inaugural 2021 Power of a Hero event for the East Central Ohio chapter of the American Red Cross. Hi, it's Boxer, actually right here in the WCOL studios where I do my show every weekday afternoon from 3 to 7, and I'm incredibly honored to be part of tonight's virtual event. There has never been a more important time to recognize our outstanding community heroes and appreciate the ways the American Red Cross and everything they do despite the challenges of COVID-19. They continue to provide critical services when we need them most. While so much of the world is turned on its head, hearing today's stories brings me so much hope, and I know you're going to love them too, that no matter the circumstances, we're surrounded by greatness, selflessness, care, and compassion. I'm excited to share today's stories of our honorees and know that you'll be inspired by them too. I want to thank each of you for coming online here and joining us virtually today. The best part of virtual events is you can wear whatever you want. I was going to wear my pajamas, but they said, no, please don't. So drink whatever you like. And even now, as we're just getting started, you can still invite your family, your friends to join us. It's not too late. While honoring the selfless actions of these heroes, you'll have the opportunity to support the lifelong mission of the American Red Cross. Despite a pandemic, there are devastating home fires. They supply local hospitals with life-saving blood products. And there are military families needing Red Cross assistance to make emergency connections with their service members. There are people requiring training in first aid and water safety, often for a job. Red Cross services are essential every day. We hope you'll consider making a gift during the program or bidding on one of our amazing and fun auction packages too. Please look at those, they're worth it. To the left of your screen, you'll see donation options. Now these options will be available throughout the remainder of this program. If you're viewing from a mobile device, all you'll need is to exit the full screen and then scroll below the video window to make a donation. You can also text Power of a Hero, all one word, Power of a Hero, to 76278. Again, that's Power of a Hero, all one word, to 76278. Just follow the prompts to be sure the American Red Cross has the resources to support all of our East Central Ohio area in times of need. Additionally, you can click the word Items to view all of the exciting packages we have as part of this year's auction. Auction closes, by the way, 8 o'clock tonight. Before we begin recognizing our honorees, I'd like to welcome the board chair for the East Central Ohio Chapter Red Cross and Vice President and Trust Officer of Park National Corporation, Candy Wade, for opening remarks following the Executive Director of the East Central Ohio Chapter of the American Red Cross, Rod Cook.
It's our honor to join the American Red Cross to celebrate our local frontline workers at the inaugural Power of a Hero Awards. These incredible individuals uphold the humanitarian mission of the Red Cross and have gone above and beyond to provide care for our communities during these unprecedented times. Your dedication to help secure a safe and healthy future is an inspiration to all of us at Park National Bank, and we thank you for your service.
Thanks, Joe, and thank you, Candy, for everything you do for our mission. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. This past year has been one that I don't think any of us will forget anytime soon. The COVID-19 pandemic has turned the entire world upside down and transformed all of our lives into a new reality. However, throughout it all, I am so proud to say that the American Red Cross mission lived on. Communities and individuals across the country continued receiving the support at some of their toughest moments. That includes right here in the East Central Ohio chapter. Whether it was receiving the life-saving blood products they so desperately needed, being comforted after losing everything they had in a house fire or other disaster, or receiving Red Cross help while their loved ones were serving in the military, the American Red Cross continued our mission. But we could not have done it alone. As the old saying goes, it takes a community to raise a child. In this situation, it took a community to keep things safe and to keep things going. Tonight, you're going to hear some amazing stories about individuals and groups who stood up when the COVID-19 virus struck the United States and Ohio to keep their communities safe and to keep the Red Cross mission moving forward, no matter the odds. I hope that you're as inspired as I am to do more for each other after hearing these stories. Finally, I need to thank so many who were responsible for putting this event together. To our presenting sponsors, L Brands, Licking Memorial Health Systems, Ohio Health, and Park National Bank, thank you so much for your support. Same goes to all of our other sponsors who can be found in the program. To Mr. Luke Beekman, a board member and the videographer for this event, thank you so much for sharing your incredible talents with us. And to the planning committee, my sincerest gratitude for all of the hard work that you accomplished putting this event together under some very tough circumstances. And finally, thank you to our MC, Mr. Joe Boxer from WCOL and WTVN for helping to pull everything together into tonight's program. With that, back to you, Joe.
Thank you, Rod, for providing us insights to the impact the American Red Cross makes on our communities and the invaluable role the Red Cross plays when disaster strikes. You know, I'm amazed at how quickly expertise, hard work, volunteerism, and of course, monetary donations come together to enable response and empower recovery anywhere in our country. Hi, I'm Boxer, right here at WCOL Studios, and I also do the morning show on 610 WTVN. I'm super honored to be asked to serve as the MC tonight because maybe like you, I have personal stories of the American Red Cross. One of them that comes to mind is learning CPR, a life-saving skill. Another is when I was a kid, my father's home had burned down, and the Red Cross was the first on the scene to be able to give aid and help. And I think about my friends years ago when Hurricane Katrina, with the American Red Cross being right there on location, being able to help those in need. Tonight, you're going to be hearing stories about individuals and groups who really stepped up when the COVID-19 pandemic struck the U.S. last year. Some of the stories tell how individuals stood up to keep entire communities safe, while other stories are about how individuals help the American Red Cross keep their life-saving mission going. And now, what do you say we get started? Remember, one of the reasons we're here tonight is to help the American Red Cross keep serving all of the communities that it serves. So please take a look at the auction site and bid. Trust me, there's something for everyone. How about this? Like a Columbus Blue Jackets package. Or, well, let's just put it this way. If you don't see something you want or you don't have a winning bid, you can still do one of the most important things, and that's support the American Red Cross by giving a gift through donation options located to the left of your screen. Now, as you're taking a look at the auction items and placing your bids, which, by the way, thank you, we'll get started in honoring our heroes. Next up is the story of Dr. Uchenna Ezike of Ohio Health Mansfield. Dr. Ezike is an infectious disease specialist at Ohio Health Mansfield, and this story is of how Dr. Ezike stepped up when the pandemic really hit the U.S. to help treat thousands of Richland County citizens.
Dr. Ezike, infectious disease specialist here in Mansfield, Ohio. I'm also the assistant professor of medicine, taking care of students who come in for rotation in Ohio Health Mansfield. Ever since I got into medical school, it has been my inspiration to see the sick people get healed. During the initial episodes of the pandemic, this is a fire that is going to be consuming a lot of people. At the initial stage, it was like a confusion, and then I was the only infectious disease specialist around. I had gotten a lot of phone calls. I have a very good medical team with me, my staff nurse, the nurse practitioner, and a pharmacist. Occasionally, we have medical students. So with the team, we are able to manage and also give hope to patients who have COVID-19 at the time. During the first wave of COVID-19, we are a little bit lucky in Mansfield that wasn't too much, but the second and third wave of the pandemic here in Mansfield was too many. At a point, we are even seeing up to 60 to 70 COVID-19 patients a day in Mansfield here. So quite significant. The hospital was 4 or 5 floors were filled up with COVID-19. The ICU also was all filled up with people on vent at the time we have this second and third wave of the infection. It was really a hectic time for us. I start my clinic around 8 or 9 a.m. and at times I go 10 p.m. in the evening after seeing all the patients. So that was the situation at the time we have those waves. Inpatient visits encourages patients actually to have confidence and hope also that they are going to survive this illness. Convalescent plasma did help some. It is not really the magic bullet, but we're able to see from the immunological aspect how it can work. After we have gotten the consent from the patient and the family members, if the case may be, then we call the Red Cross, and then the Red Cross has to cross-match and then have to let us know whether it's available, and then they have to send it to us. Because we have started using the convalescent plasma, that problem of matching was there. But after some time, it wasn't, because we have more of patients with COVID-19 and then we have more plasma made available to us. Infectious disease actually is one unique aspect of the specialty of medicine. The infectious disease actually focuses on the whole patient. Infectious disease also has preventive measures. So my view and perception in terms of the pandemic is that every hands must be on deck. One bacterial infection can affect every organ in the system. We try to reduce mortality. In fact, in the branch of medicine, it's the only branch that cures the disease. Before the COVID-19, my experience has been rewarding, especially here in Mansfield, Ohio, with the Ohio Health Hospital also. COVID-19 had just at least touched me. I had lost a lot of friends, even those whom I have even treated. Do my best in terms of what I have to offer to my patients. We still roll off our sleeves and still doing the best we can. The battle is not over. We are lucky that we had the vaccine for COVID-19, which was a game changer for the infection. If we are able to convince the community in which we are, and then the world as general, 2021, I hope that we'll be able to calm the COVID-19 spread in the United States and the world all over. In times of crisis, I think the first thing first is to stay calm. COVID-19 came in with the fear, that is palpable fear that we have during the period. I was calm. I tried to also preach to my fellow staffs to be calm. Let's see how we tackle the problem. Being calm is the number one thing that you have to do where you have a crisis. You have to work as a team to achieve a purpose. And that was what we did during this time of COVID-19.
Thank you, Dr. Ezike. This is a reminder, by the way, that one of the key aspects to tonight's event is for all of us to help support the mission of the American Red Cross. Make sure to keep bidding. Keep those biddings going up. We got to do this on that auction and auction items, or making a donation to the life-saving mission of the American Red Cross. It can be one of the most powerful contributions you could ever make to your community. Now, what do you say we listen to the story of how two employees, Sarah Nagy and Scott McKnight of Marion General Hospital, went above and beyond the call of duty to help keep patients and fellow staff members safe and well during the height of this pandemic.
My name is Sarah Nagy. I am currently the Pathway Program Coordinator for Pathway to Excellence, and I also still do some education. We are in the process of pursuing the Pathway to Excellence designation because we really feel that this is something that will elevate our nursing practice here. With teaching in particular, different people have different learning styles, different ways of learning things, taking that into consideration. I think just compassion in general. We all have things going on in our personal lives that we don't necessarily talk about at work, and just, kind of giving people grace and understanding. During the pandemic, really everybody in the hospital took on additional roles. I think it was the week before Thanksgiving when I got a call that they needed me to work on. They just said something for infusion. Once I found out what it was, I was the point person here at Marion to coordinate. There were just so many different disciplines involved in getting that open. From the time I got involved with it, we opened it in about 2 weeks. Within that first month of being open, we opened on December 7th. We saw about 150 patients by the end of December, and none of them ended up in the hospital. What we call the COVID surge, we did have a big increase in the number of patients that were COVID positive. A lot for all of the staff in the hospital taking care of those patients. And by opening this center, we were able to decrease the number of patients that were COVID positive in the hospital. I think Marion's a great place to work. We have really good teamwork here. When we have times of crisis, like during the COVID surge, other things that happen, it's really a family atmosphere. People really, I think, take care of each other like they would someone in their families.
I'm Scott McKnight. I'm a clinical educator for the ER at Marion General Hospital. Keeping healthcare workers safe is definitely an important thing. I've been with the organization now for about 16 years, and when I first started, the idea of workplace violence, the idea of overall the emotional impact of the associate wasn't well received. So going through and having an awareness of safety initiatives has definitely been a kind of a front runner for the current administration of the hospital. So as far as some of the evidence goes, so we began a journey back in 2019 taking a look at we have the AESS. It's an associate engagement survey focusing on safety. And we saw a huge amount of reported episodes of workplace violence for individuals, the emotional impact after the event. People won't really know how to kind of manage through that. We put together a work group to take a look at how we can do it better. And with that work group, we ended up creating a educational workplace violence. Was about an hour and a half in length. So trying to figure out how we can do that better instead of our current program, which is about 8 hours in length. So it's a huge cost savings once you spread it out over about 2,000 people. The other thing being the emotional support idea. So we began going into this journey on when is it okay to speak up? When is it okay to share the emotional impact, the emotional trauma, the turmoil that we all face inside of healthcare? With that, we formed kind of a second group off of that first workplace violence group, looking at how do we improve the emotional state, the emotional climate for associates. The peer support idea really is training frontline people, training peers, to give them tools to be able to support each other, really teach people what are the right things to say, what are the wrong things to say, how to be supportive, how to be, an empathetic listener, an active listener, being engaged. They just want to be validated. They want to be heard. And that's really where we have taken this team. We haven't been in existence long. We started November 16th of 2020. And we started with a small group of people. We now have about 27 people who are providing support inside of Marion alone. So we are one hospital inside of 13 hospitals for an organization. We definitely love to carry this forward and take this further, and we're working slowly on that. But since that time, in November, so 6 months ago, we have provided support and or education to over 630 people. And that definitely resonates with us, knowing that we're providing support for people.
My name is Ashlyn. I work here at KCH as the marketing specialist, and one of the things that I do, among others, is coordinate the blood drives. So when I got to KCH, the coordinator actually retired, and I kind of took on this role of the blood drives, and we had them quarterly at the same time every month.
I work with Ashlyn Hurlow and with the Knox Community Hospital. Knox Community Hospital has been a great supporter of the Red Cross blood program. This year they've really stepped up and helped out in the time of the pandemic. We had, just like so many other organizations, we had shortages and we were facing some critical situations with loss of blood drive locations.
One thing I really started to see is that we couldn't capture a lot of employees. We do work in healthcare, we know how important it is. So we decided that monthly, or as many times as we can, different days a week in different time schedules, so we can kind of capture more of our employee population. I think we went from 32 slots every quarter, it might have been more, to about 22 slots. And I was pretty worried that after a few months it would kind of taper off, just because that is a lot of spots to fill. We're kind of tripling the amount of blood we were before. But we actually had a lot of interest, and so far we've filled every spot every month this year.
Ashlyn has been such a great supporter of the Red Cross. She is just a fresh, happy, positive person, and she's so great to work with. And she's been very forthcoming with helping to get our room, the availability for us, and she just works so hard to make sure that the blood drives are successful and that we have blood products available that we need to be able to provide for our patients.
I heard the need for blood drives, and I actually had employees reaching out to me, can we do more blood drives? Where can I do blood drives? And in Mount Vernon, there is a lot of blood drives. You kind of see them, so you just kind of assume that that role is being taken by the community, and that if they're always going on, then why do we need to increase this? But when something like this happens and there isn't really a spot, or there isn't enough blood, and there's a way that you can not only draw people in, because we are here, we're in the community for the community, as we say, but until you're actually in it, you don't see how many people do contribute, and that you can always do more. Even though something's happening, knowing that you can do more, there's something very satisfying about that, not just for me, but knowing that our employees are making a difference, and that the hospital is able to step in and make a bigger impact, because we are a healthcare facility, and kind of say, hey, look, this is important right now and we want to help. So if we can kind of get more involved, that is what we're going to do. If someone couldn't host one, say the NAS couldn't host at the college because of the COVID restrictions, we have the space, and obviously it's safe here. So if I could host that for them and kind of do a dual effort, that was kind of my goal. So anytime there's a gap, I try to fill as best as I could. And then when we went on to planning for 2021, we kind of were like, okay, our people are asking for this. Is it feasible to do a monthly donation? The community gave us all their support, and the best that we could do was kind of offer that back to them, in the sense of creating a space for them to be able to collect blood.
Hey, my name's Russ Mincer from Domino's Pizza in Mount Vernon. We support American Red Cross through Pizza for a Pint. What that is, when you come in and donate a pint of your blood, we'll give you a free pizza coupon. So we've been doing it for years, and Pizza for a Pint.
Russ Mincer is our local Domino's Pizza owner, and he has been a great advocate for the Red Cross and our blood program over the years.
Hey, Becky from the Red Cross called us last year when COVID hit, and the blood supply was really low, and I guess we stepped up.
He this year really stepped up during the pandemic and contacted me to ask if he could provide some pizza coupons for our donors. So he's been giving, at several of our blood drives, he's given all of our donors a free pizza, which is, of course, a great incentive to get our donors in, especially students. They love them.
At one time, we gave 500 gift cards for 500 pints of blood, and we extended it past Knox County. I hooked up the American Red Cross with Central Ohio and Northwest Ohio. We got them affiliated with their chapters and their bloodmobiles. Pizza for a Pint. Why we like to be affiliated with the Red Cross and with the other sponsors around town, the secret to my success is being part of the community. I lived here for over 30 years, been with Domino's 38 years, and don't tell anybody, but that's our secret. Be involved with the community. The community just embraces that, I feel, and we embrace them. Again, I wish more businesses did it, and the ones that do it, they're very successful from doing it.
He's been just a wonderful advocate, and Russ is really fun. He has gone above and beyond in more ways than one. He actually created a video himself going through the donation process, and he just did it in such a fun way.
We did the video when I gave the Pizza for the Pint. I think the Red Cross volunteer didn't like me so much because I was racing to see how fast I could pump up the pint, but overall it was fun, it was active, and we put it on our Facebook wall. So therefore, I don't know how many followers we have, but I think it encouraged more people to go down to get pizza for a pint that day.
Just really helped get our message out to the community and get our community really involved and help us to provide that blood product that we need for Knox County. So thanks to Russ for all he's done to help promote our blood program in Knox County.
I'm a regular donor. I don't know how many gallons or anything like that. I guess it started in high school. You know, the tough guys pass out giving blood for some reason, but I guess my parents instilled in me that you give back, and that's where it all started 100 years ago when I was 18. You know, Becky calls us not only for the pizza for the blood, but it's also we do things for, like, let's say a big snowstorm came in, they lost electric, and they got volunteers helping out. All she has to do is make a call, and we provide pizzas. You know, like, to me, we live here. We got to support each other, and you know, from, you know, shelters to, you know, natural disasters or pizza for a pint, you know, we're here for American Red Cross.
Both of our heroes, Ashlyn Herlo from Knox Community Hospital and businessman Russ Menser, went above and beyond to make sure that the blood drives in Knox County continued and that donors had some incentives to donate blood. Again, I want to thank you for all of your support and being here tonight, supporting the American Red Cross. Continue to place those bids on so many different packages or by giving a gift through the donation options located to the very left of your screen. To see how your money helps the American Red Cross, it's super easy. We'll watch together a quick video about what the Red Cross does in every community across the U.S. The next story is a pretty incredibly powerful one. It's about how a group of employees at 2 nursing homes in Newark and Heath went way above and beyond the call of duty to keep their clients safe last year when COVID-19 struck. This story is so powerful, it captured the attention of national news media outlets like Diane Sawyer and Time Magazine.
We have 2 assisted living facilities, senior elderly care. 125 residents at Sharon Brook and 99 residents at the Inn at Chapel Grove.
Chapel Grove and Sharon Brook have been in the local Licking County area since the mid-'80s.
Sharon Brook was the very first assisted living in the whole entire state of Ohio. We had started hearing about the COVID-19 and how it was affecting the world. And we decided, what were we going to do when we heard that the pandemic came to the state of Ohio? The only way to keep the residents safe was actually to shelter in place. We talked to all of our staff and we had an overwhelming response. Our staff would be willing to actually pack up and move in and live in both of the buildings and not knowing any of it a definite time. We actually made the plan, and when we heard that the first 3 cases came to the Cleveland, Ohio area, we actually set the date and said we're moving in on March 12th. 22 staff members moved into both buildings, Sharon Brook and Chapel Grove. Ended up being 65 days that we actually lived here, but everybody was so committed to staying here with the residents to keep them safe.
I remember in the very beginning when we were talking about things, just thinking, okay, what would we need if we lived in our, assisted living? So we went and ordered some blow-up mattresses, all of our toiletry items and things like that, and talking with our families. And one thing that I know all of us here and our staff members that did move in, our support system was unbelievable. The families that were at home really supported us.
At both facilities, we did Easter egg hunts, we did parades. We tried to make it as normal as possible for these guys. We had 100 birthday parties for our residents to feel like it was just a normal day. We always tried to keep things going, just make them have fun every single day. That was our main focus.
The count started going down and things, so we actually got to leave in the mid-May. And at that time, things went real well. In July, we noticed the count was starting to go back up and there was a huge outbreak. So we went back to our staff, and I was kind of hesitant, thinking, once again, commit to an unforeseen amount of time. All of them jumped right in. I actually had people that hadn't locked down the first time say, you know what, we want to do it this time. We knew we needed 22 staff members to move in to both buildings, and they did that at the end of July. At that time, we knew we had to stay in here until we actually got the right testing machines to be able to test our staff every single day upon arriving to work. 32 days later, those machines arrived. We were able to open up the facilities, and at that time, which we still are doing, we test our staff every day that they come to work if they have not been fully vaccinated.
It was just such we couldn't wait to get the machines and, to be tested and be able to go home every night and then come back. I think that was amazing, and our staff gets to go home and be with their family.
Yeah, and I think everyone really appreciated that safety feature. I mean, it was just kind of like when you're around people that have maybe been in hospital stays and then returning to us, and we have nursing assistants that are going in the rooms, and yes, they have protective equipment. It's a nervous feeling. And to just have that peace of mind to know, okay, I've been tested today and tomorrow, and when I come into work, I'll know. And it's nice for us when we're working, but then also taking it back home. We had a peace of mind.
So today, a year later, all of our residents have been vaccinated. We're at 100%. We were so excited to get the call that we were actually getting our first vaccines in January. We have over 80% at both buildings of staffing that have been vaccinated as well.
Now that we've been vaccinated, really great for the residents to have that flexibility to be able to be with their loved ones as well. We had residents that were lining up the day that we knew we were going to get our vaccine, and they were ready. The staff, we were all ready. It's been a challenging year for them, but the compassion that goes into assisted livings and working with our senior population, we really put a lot of love, I think, into our jobs, but then that was a time for us. All of our staff members truly love what we do.
We could not be more thankful to be COVID-free and to have all of our residents get to be reunited with their families.
Compassion for me was we did everything but hold their hand when they were dying. We were on the cell phones talking to their family outside the window. We did all that, and that was our giving back. That's our compassion. That's our story.
Wow. Just impressive. What an amazing story. And thank you to all of those staff members. You know who you are, who put others ahead of themselves to keep their patients safe. Well, finally, we'd like to share the story of 2 Red Cross volunteers who really took their jobs seriously in helping to make sure that blood drives in Marion and Licking counties continued throughout the pandemic. The American Red Cross is built on the fact that caring people like yourself are willing to volunteer their time to make sure that others in the community stay safe. And this story is a great example of how this is done. So thank you for your dedication to the Red Cross mission. If you're interested in volunteering for the Red Cross, just simply go to redcross.org/volunteer to get started.
Hi, my name is Lori Brown, and I'm a resident here of Newark, Ohio, and I chose to become a Red Cross volunteer about 13 years ago, primarily as what is now called a blood donor ambassador. Initially, we were called registration folks or cookie ladies. That's kind of transitioned over the years.
My name is Norma Stump, and I am a volunteer with the blood drives. I thought the Red Cross would be a good place to volunteer. And when I started, I was actually doing some office work. They were cleaning out their files before they moved into this new building here. And then they said, well, they could use some blood drive volunteers, and so that's when I started doing that then.
As blood donor ambassadors, we greet the donors. We try to encourage them to continue with their donations and maybe spread the word to their friends and families. This past year, volunteering for the Red Cross during the pandemic has been, it's been a roller coaster. Initially, we actually even stopped our blood drives during the initial pandemic, devastating to the blood supply. As soon as it was safe to do so, however, we took a complete reversal and we had drives. We had numerous drives. In fact, this particular location was open 5 days a week for a few weeks. There was a huge demand for volunteers to be able to staff those drives. A real need for volunteers to come in and work.
With the pandemic, everybody was staying home. You know, they were saying, don't go anywhere. And I didn't, especially for several months, I didn't even go to the grocery store. But then I felt a little more confident about getting out, and I knew what precautions the Red Cross takes, so I didn't worry at all about volunteering with the Red Cross. Now, of course, everyone wears a mask when they come in. I wear a mask and gloves.
So everything very much changed about a year ago. We had so many blood drives canceled. At one point, we almost had 600 changes going through our change log every single day.
With the greater need to staff the numerous drives, unfortunately, fewer volunteers who felt comfortable doing that kind of stepped up and ended up having to work a number of drives. I'm so grateful. In my capacity, I'm also responsible for staffing the volunteers here in Licking County. So it was important for me to not only work a number of extra drives myself, but I had a few volunteers who continued to be willing to work. I'm so grateful for those people.
And through the pandemic, we have learned so much. We have moved into what we call our community model. We've kind of gone back to our roots, and we're looking at our community model, and that's how we're looking at all of our blood drives now.
Here in Licking County, we have a fixed donation site. We call it the Licking Donor Center, affectionately named the LDC. It really is a family, it gives you a family feeling.
But one of the reasons I've always enjoyed volunteering at the Red Cross, I've lived in Marion for 60 years, and I know a lot of people, and I usually see at least someone I know every time I volunteer, so.
The donors that come in, it's nice because you get to know them by name. They walk in and you know them, so it's a much more friendly atmosphere. And I think with the fixed sites, there's just a more stable environment.
We have had so many donors come out with this, and we also gained new donors over the pandemic. Of course, then we moved into the collection of the plasma for the antibodies, and then we had a whole nother group of donors that came in that wanted to help, which we were so thankful for. So really this whole time during the pandemic, when we really put out that information that we need more donors, we definitely got more donors in the door, and we're very thankful for that.
I'd like to tell a couple of experiences I had with the Red Cross before I was a volunteer. When I was in the 6th grade and over in Delaware County, and my teacher took me and another girl to a junior Red Cross meeting, and that was the first time I ever heard anything about the Red Cross, of course. My second experience was when I was 21, because back in the 50s, your parent had to sign for you to give blood until you were 21. And so on my 21st birthday, because my mother would never sign for me, that was my independent move. And when my mother found out how easy it was, then she started giving blood too. So I thought that was great. And these red jackets, at that time, every volunteer had to have a red jacket. I think I'm probably the only one that has one left anymore, but so I always wear it so that people will recognize that that's what I'm doing. I am a volunteer.
My husband and I are both regular Red Cross volunteers. He transports blood and I work in blood drives. We're both very committed to the Red Cross mission and its willingness or helpfulness with all sorts of surgeries and cancer patients and whatever the blood need is, trauma patients. I think my initial love of the Red Cross started with my mom, who was a nurse. I think anything having to do with healthcare, things like that are very important to me.
We'd like to share with you the story of Lori Kraft, Director of Laboratory Services at Lickey Memorial Hospital.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here to recognize Lori Kraft for her outstanding work during the recent pandemic. Lori's track record here at Lickey Memorial Health Systems dates back to 1987, so well over 30 years of outstanding service. She graduated from Baldwin Wallace with a degree in both biology and history, an interesting combination, but has translated that into becoming one of the leaders, not just in Ohio, but throughout the country in laboratory administration and adopting technologies that benefit the community. In particular, during the pandemic, Lori was instrumental in allowing us to obtain testing equipment, material, technology that allowed us to quickly delineate those patients that were positive for COVID versus those that were just showing symptoms of some other virus. That allowed us to protect our personal protective equipment, so we had more than an adequate supply for our physicians, nurses, respiratory therapists, and other frontline workers. The testing also provided great comfort to a lot of families and patients as they quickly knew whether or not they had the COVID virus, and if they did, that we could quickly begin to treat them with some of our advanced technologies and treatments like the convalescent plasma or the remdesivir. We've had a lot of employees recognized. Certainly the organization has been recognized, and all deservedly so, for the work that's been done during the pandemic. But behind the scenes, really providing the foundation for that care has been the outstanding work of our laboratory department, and in particular through the leadership of Lori Kraft as the director of that department. I think it's very appropriate that the American Red Cross has singled out Lori Kraft for this significant honor.
It has been a privilege to work with Lori and her team the last several years, and especially over the course of last year. Lori has been a valuable member of our COVID team, which we established very early on to ensure proper safety protocols were in place. She always researched, and she was always well aware of the necessary steps we needed to take as an organization in our response. This led to remarkable innovations, including traffic bundling and the ability to test. Her capabilities and her staff's capabilities allowed us to operationalize the first drive-through testing clinic in Central Ohio. Without her, this couldn't have been done. Oftentimes, the lab is in the background when it comes to healthcare. They're the ones that are running tests and checking specimens and things of that nature. But this pandemic really brought the lab to the forefront. Our lab's ability to respond during this crisis and during this time was remarkable, and that was because of Lori's leadership and all that she brings to the table. I am very proud to say that Lori Kraft is a remarkable individual and an amazing director of our laboratory services. She really emphasized the importance of ensuring the health of our community.
I would like to thank the American Red Cross for recognizing me with this award. I am only part of a great team of laboratory professionals who work diligently to provide the best care to our patients and our community. I would also like to thank Rob Montagnes, President and CEO of Licking Memorial Health Systems, for nominating me. We were able to respond to the need to do COVID testing pretty quickly because we are fortunate to have 2 molecular platforms here in our laboratory. We were able to offer PCR testing, which is the most definitive and the gold standard. As cases increased, we knew that we had to add more testing options. We brought in 2 methods of antibody testing. Because many people with COVID-19 do not show symptoms, we knew that this testing was very important. The tests indicate who has been exposed and who has not been exposed. We were able to offer this testing to our employees and to first responders. We also performed a community prevalence study, which we hope to have published soon. As SARS-CoV-2 antigens became approved, we were able to offer this testing in-house on our laboratory instruments. Antigen testing provides a rapid result to indicate the presence or absence of the virus. In addition, we place these point-of-care instruments in our family practice offices and our urgent cares. This bolstered the safety of the community by alerting people to the need to quarantine. The most challenging part of this process has been the acquisition of testing materials and specimen collection supplies due to the worldwide demand. I am proud to say that we have never been without a means of testing throughout the pandemic. Again, I would like to thank the American Red Cross for recognizing the important work that the laboratory does for our community. And we will continue to research and educate as new information and tools become available about the COVID-19 virus.
Well, clearly, I think we've demonstrated that Lori is a very worthy recipient of this award. I think it's great as a local Newark High School graduate and someone who has become one of the pillars in the laboratory field, and once again, someone who positioned our organization and our community to deal with a terrible pandemic in the most effective and efficient way. Lori is so deserving of this award, and we could not be more proud of her work and all that she has done for our organization. We want to thank the American Red Cross for recognizing her as a power of a hero and honoring her for this award. Lori, thank you for your service to our community.
Tonight, we have a goal of raising $10,000, and we can do it, to support the American Red Cross right here in our community. Now, the dollars raised will go to critical resources to support our local residents displaced by a home fire, or community member needing ongoing mental health services, or a local military family needing to make emergency contact with their loved ones. Your donations will go to help individuals faced with unimaginable loss. Once again, if you'd like to contribute, and I really hope you do, look to the left of your screen and you'll see the donation options to make your gift, as well as viewing those exciting auction packages. I know I put my bid in. You better not beat me on it. Just a reminder, the auction closes at 8 o'clock tonight. You'll still have time to make those final bids. Now, I hope this was inspiring and informative for you. I also hope that you're able to win a couple of great auction items too. Thank you again for supporting the Red Cross mission. And we look forward to seeing you at this special Red Cross event next year.